Hi, this is Linda Shea with Drilling Contractor. Today I'm on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. at the IADC fly-in, where nearly 24 of IADC's members representing both onshore and offshore drilling are joining us to advocate for the oil and gas and drilling industry. Over the course of the two-day fly-in, IADC members and staff met with multiple members of the U.S. Congress representing both Republicans and Democrats. Key topics that were highlighted include permitting reform, the harmful effects of the proposed pause on LNG exports, as well as the need for the oil and gas industry to continue demonstrating its commitment to emissions reductions. Several of the congressional representatives also mentioned the need for more bipartisanship when it comes to energy issues.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, it's tough because it's been presented to the American public and as a again, as a black and white, issue. And it's complicated, and that does make it hard around here. But I do think that there's a path for us to get out of it, but we have to really be willing to roll up our sleeves and sit down and talk with one another.
Well, I think it all starts with good conversations, and just really, I think it's important that we start with the facts and we look at the insatiable energy demand that Americans have, and we're seeing that growth worldwide. And it's like a beast, the more you feed it, the bigger it grows and the higher the demand is. And I think now, especially with things like artificial intelligence coming online and more AI applied, we're going to see an even greater electricity demand. So I think that we really need to start from that place, starting with facts and looking at what the demand is and what our suite of options are, and be realistic about the amount of gap oil and natural gas we're going to need to fill in before we get the kind of renewable energy that we need and the kind of outputs that we need that renewable can create.
Well, extremism is not good, and that's true on both sides. And I think in this case, I can point to extremism not just on the left, but also on the right. That's not healthy. And the best is when we come together and with thoughtful minds about how to solve some of these problems.
During his meeting with IADC members, Congressman Curtis also highlighted the work of the Conservative Climate Caucus, a group that he helped to establish with the goal of educating House Republicans on climate policies and legislation that would still protect the American economy and energy security.
Yeah, I wanted to show that Republicans did care deeply about our Earth and leaving it better, and that we had really good ideas that reduce carbon, that leave the Earth better than we found it, and I think we have validated that.
While the legislators all seem to agree that bipartisanship is tough to achieve on Capitol Hill when it comes to energy issues, several expressed optimism that sensible energy policies can coexist along with sensible climate change policies. But they do need our industry's help in terms of educating the public and policymakers.
I think that one of the great things that the oil and gas industry is doing is that they're running ads showing how oil and gas plays an important part in all of our lives, whether it's helping pay for schools, whether it's producing the clothes that we wear and the utensils that we use to eat food. I think that some of those commercials have been great, and they really serve as good educational pieces for consumers. I also think that on Capitol Hill, that those sort of initiatives and that those sort of things need to be shared with members of both parties, so people will understand the importance of oil and gas, and then also the things that the industry is doing also to play a role in being a good steward of the environment and the air that we breathe and the water that we drink, to share those things with people, so people don't really see it as something that's a bad, and how it's actually a benefit to their lives. I would say that what I would change about what could use improving, obviously, is, again, just talking with people more about things that are being done about orphan wells, things that are being done about methane escaping at wellheads, different things like that that people are rightfully concerned about. The good thing that I would continue to let people know is that we've been able to really have cheap, reliable, affordable energy in this country, because of the industry. And it's also complemented a lot of the advancements that we've made in renewable energy. Texas is the biggest producer of renewable energy out of any state in the country, and one of the biggest producers of renewable energy in the entire world, for that matter. And so letting people know how they all work together, and how this is going to be a solution that both renewable and hydrocarbons are going to play to help make the world better, I think is a story that needs to continue to be shared.
Educating and connecting with legislators and policymakers remains a key goal of IADC's Washington, D.C. fly-ins. The goal is all about making sure that when the opportunity comes to make a difference in policy setting, we can ensure that the voice of drilling contractors is heard by the right people and they can make informed decisions.
Yes. What we try to do is we try to bring our industry people to Washington, D.C. They're the experts. They know the issues. They work in it day in and day out. And the thing with Congress is it's a citizen legislature. You have members of Congress in all different walks of life, and they work on legislation from various committees like the Natural Resource Committee, Energy and Commerce Committee, that has jurisdiction over our issues in the drilling industry, in the oil and gas industry. So they don't always have that background or they don't have the expertise. You have, as I said, members of Congress that work in auto industry, members that are doctors and lawyers and all that, but they are assigned to the committees of jurisdiction. So what they do is they reach out to us in the industry and say, we need help. We need your background. We need your expertise. And that's what we did this week is we brought about 20 of our people from the industry to Washington, D.C. to meet with the members of Congress and say, look, I'm here, I'm available, here's my business card, I would like to talk to you about this later, and then have the congressmen and their staff contact us and say, we're working on legislation, we want your background, we want your expertise, we want your input on this, here's a draft of the piece of legislation, tell us what you think about this, tell us what will make the industry more efficient, would help along those lines. And so it's just, that's the constant reach out to the experts, which are our IADC members, and bringing them right here to Washington to meet with the members directly.
Well, they should know, first of all, how important advocacy is. We need your input. We're a citizen legislature. You know, I'm a pharmacist by profession. Drilling's kind of out of my area, and I need to be educated. And that's why it's so very important for members to know they're members of Congress. I'm a pharmacist by profession, as I say. And, right now, if we're talking about drilling, I need to be educated, and I need to understand that. There are a lot of issues going on, particularly as it relates to permitting and making sure with regulations, and those are the kind of things that we need to understand and need to know about.
For many of the IADC members, like Sarah Kern with Helmerich and Payne, this was their first time joining a Washington, D.C. fly-in.
It's been incredibly enlightening. I'm really, really honored to have the privilege to do this. And it's been interesting. It's one thing to explain the value of the drilling industry towards a friendly audience or to friendly constituents. And it's been interesting here to talk about explaining the value of our industry towards maybe states that may not be as friendly, or across party lines, stressing the importance that it's not a partisan issue, that clean, affordable, reliable, efficient, and sustainable energy is important to everyone.
Freddie Falk with Noble is another first-time participant on the fly-in. For him, the opportunity to talk with legislators firsthand about the things that Noble and others in the industry are doing to help deliver clean and responsible energy to the world was the most invaluable part of the trip.
I think the main takeaway has been how we communicate to the other side. You know, people in other environments are saying that we are the bad guys, the dirty guys. So, and where the facts really are that we are improving quite a bit from an emissions point of view, that we are cleaner than the production on many other countries in the world. So bringing that messages across, embracing the discussion about the environment. We want clean energy, we want clean water, clean air, and you're explaining how we have done it in the last few years. How do we intend to do it in the future? I think all that is going to really help us get to a point where we can bring this industry and flourish in the industry at the same time as being cleaner and responsible.
One of the key messages conveyed to legislators during the fly-in was IADC Cares, a newly launched campaign to help people understand that the work drilling contractors do is clean, affordable, reliable, efficient, and sustainable.
When we take a look, there's a lot of common themes that occurred today. We talked about permitting, we talked about messaging, we talked about environmental performance, and this was a very common theme amongst all the House reps that we heard today. So, really being able to come back to our industry and reiterate the importance of this messaging and really how to proceed with our business line and with IADC and our new campaign of CARES. When we talk about clean, affordable, reliable, efficient, and sustainable energy, this is really the mandate we have to take up and pick up that fight and pick up that battle. And by battle, I mean it's not adversarial. This is our ability to message how good our business is, how good our industry is at what we do in these spaces. These are the important talking points of the spaces. They keep getting reiterated. We have to be able to listen and engage in that conversation with everybody.
While IADC members recognize that there are many challenges ahead in terms of ensuring effective and practical U.S. energy policies, they left the fly-in feeling optimistic about the impact that was made through direct engagement and conversations with the congressional representatives.
I'm very encouraged about permitting reform. I think that's going to be seems like everybody's resonated on that one, Democrats and Republicans both. So we're real hopeful that we're going to see some positive things come out of that.
It seems like most of the representatives today realize that we need to work together, come across the aisles, especially, oil and gas it's been brought up a couple times, but, it's one of the only energy things that are produced for energy that produce more than just energy, medicines, plastics, and, oil and gas isn't going anywhere. And I think everybody knows that, but it doesn't necessarily work for their political stance. And so I think when people really in the whole country really come to that realization, and then politically they'll back it more and be more bipartisan and reach across the aisle and help get things done, because, this ban or pause that every one of them has talked about today is actually worse for emissions. We're moving that production of clean energy here in the United States to Russia, to Venezuela, to other places that they don't have regulations. So it's actually putting worse emissions in the environment. And when people hear that, it makes sense for us to produce that. It's not only better for us, we get to produce it here clean, and we get to infrastructure the money and the investment money here in our country, which is good for everybody. So.